Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play the entirety of this video without any interruptions, and then I'll go back and talk about things that are going on to better explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that were done right and or done wrong. Without further ado, here we go.
Good afternoon. I am Assistant Sheriff John McGrath. I'm here to brief you on additional details as we know them today about the officer-involved shooting that occurred on Monday, March 14th, 2022. This is officer-involved shooting number 4 for 2022, non-fatal number 2. At the same time last year, we were at 3 officer-involved shootings, with 2 of those being non-fatal. This event was initiated as a fight call at 12:01 p.m. on March 14th, 2022. The officer-involved shooting occurred in the 1500 block of North Main Street, Las Vegas, 89101, which is the downtown area command. You can see the scene to my left on the screen. The involved officer is Lieutenant Raul Rodriguez. He is 47 years old and has been with LVMPD since 1999. In this incident, Lieutenant Rodriguez was armed with a Glock 21C 45 caliber handgun equipped with a tactical light. The investigation revealed he fired 3 rounds during this incident. He is assigned to the Tourist Safety Division, Downtown Area Command. The suspect has been identified as Hector Orellana. He is a 26-year-old Hispanic male adult, 6'1", 200 pounds. He is pictured to my left. Orellana was using a pen as a weapon. Orellana's charges were assault with a deadly weapon on a protected person, resisting a public officer with a deadly weapon, battery on a protected person. Before I read you the details of the officer-involved shooting, I will clarify a few things. Per LVMPD policy, lieutenants and above do not get assigned body-worn cameras. Therefore, there will be no body-worn camera shown today. Also, Lieutenant Rodriguez is assigned as the administrative lieutenant for the Downtown Area Command. Lieutenant Rodriguez was in an unmarked police vehicle during this incident. He was wearing the standard LVMPD tan uniform, identifying him as a police officer. The details of this officer-involved shooting are as follows. On Monday, March 14th, 2022, Lieutenant Raul Rodriguez was driving his police vehicle northbound on Main Street. At approximately 12:01, he noticed 2 males in a physical altercation directly in front of the business located at the 1500 block of North Main Street. One of those males was later identified as Hector Orellana. Lieutenant Rodriguez stopped his vehicle, walked over to the 2 males, and ordered them to stop fighting. Orellana immediately attacked Lieutenant Rodriguez by closing the distance and kicking him. Lieutenant Rodriguez deployed his expandable straight baton and started to walk backwards, attempting to create distance between himself and Orellana. As Lieutenant Rodriguez was creating distance, he called for additional officers to further de-escalate the situation. Orellana pulled an item out of his pants pocket and held it in his hand as if it was a weapon. Lieutenant Rodriguez continued to walk backwards while ordering Orellana to back off. Orellana ignored those commands and ran towards Lieutenant Rodriguez while holding the item in his hand. As Lieutenant Rodriguez was walking backwards, he lost his footing and fell to the ground. Orellana was able to quickly close the distance and was now standing at Lieutenant Rodriguez's feet with the item in his hand. Lieutenant Rodriguez then discharged his firearm, striking Orellana. Additional officers arrived and were able to take Orellana into custody without further incident. Medical personnel responded and transported Orellana to UMC, where he was treated for his injuries. Orellana was released from UMC and has been booked into CCDC for the aforementioned charges. The investigation revealed that the item that Orellana was armed with was a pen. I will now play for you the radio traffic of the OIS And after that, I will show you surveillance video. We obtained this video from Catholic Charities. You can see the camera locations on the map to my left. Those cameras have the ability to zoom in, and they did in this case. They're not fixed. Here's the radio traffic.
Control 324 PD back on channel. Can you put me out on a 416, 2 males and a 416 in front of main and floor master? Break. Notify the marshal's dispatch who drove right by them and blew his air horn and kept driving while they're fighting. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to unmark.
Copy that. 2 Charlie 4 star this way. Main and floor master.
9 Baker 2. I can head that way.
9 Baker 2.
Charlie 4.
Control 324. Send units code 3, 416. Break. Drop it! Drop it! Drop it! You're going to get shot!
Minus code at this channel. Main and floor master 416. Units paying route code.
Control 324. Get back! Get back! You're going to get shot. Who's got a taser? Control 324. Shots fired. Start medical.
Copy.
Control 324. He's not down. I don't know where I struck him. He's still holding a metal object or something in his hand.
Here's the first video. This is Lieutenant Rodriguez in the black Impala. This is a different angle. And that's just a still picture of him with something in his hand. You can't really make out what it is. This concludes our briefing. Is there any questions? Go ahead.
Can you tell us how your officer is? It was like he took a kind of hard fall there.
So he was transported to UMC for bumps and bruises. However, he is following up now with another doctor to see exactly how he is. I talked to him this afternoon. He's actually at the doctor's office right now.
Who were the gentlemen in the blue?
So that was security from Allied Security, and they work at the building across the street, which is the City of Las Vegas building, the Recuperative Care Center. So when they had a place to put homeless people during COVID, after they got released from the hospital, but they didn't want them going back to the rest of the community. So that's what that building is.
Was Orellana homeless? I'm sorry.
Transient, yes, unhoused.
Did you talk to the other man involved in the fight? Do you know?
We haven't been able to locate him, but we're still trying to find him.
And there was 3 rounds. One struck Orellana.
One struck Orellana in the leg.
And then what happened to the 2 rounds?
We recovered the casings and 2 of the bullets, but we don't know where the 3rd one went, but they've been recovered.
This did happen very quickly. Was it almost impossible for the lieutenant to tell what was in his hand?
So that's a good question, because the lieutenant, if we played a little bit more of the radio traffic, he describes it as a screwdriver, and then another point he says a metal object. One of the witnesses described it as a shank, and so it was really hard to tell what it was, but we found out afterwards it's bent. All right, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you all coming.
All right, let's get into it. I'll start with the pen. So, some people may think that, oh, it's just a pen. And for one, the officer did not know that it was an ink pen. And even if he did know it was an ink pen, I still believe that deadly physical force would have been suitable for this. But the officer he thought it was a screwdriver or some other type of metallic object. So it is gray in color. It kind of has the appearance of something metallic. But even if he was able to clearly say that is an ink pen, I still say that deadly force is applicable for this. When you look at prisons and jails and behavioral health type of institutions, whether they be psych wards or other places with kind of a lower security type of setting, you will see a level of security in regards to ink pens and pencils. Generally, and even on the street, officers are not as likely to want to give their ink pens to people for stuff, unless, of course, it's signed in the ticket book, and that's only if that person's seeming to be compliant. But for the most part on the street, it's kind of a germaphobe kind of thing. They just don't want people using their ink pen. Some officers will have a separate ink pen for people to use, and it's kind of a more flimsy ink pen, and they do that so that in case that person starts fighting, they don't have a really nice hard ink pen to use. So the officer may use an ink pen that has a metal casing that it's built from, and it's sturdier. But they may have a pen that is flimsy plastic. That way, if that person attacks them, they're using the flimsy plastic pen versus the nice metal pen. But within jails and prisons and other behavioral institutions, you see a level of security taken with ink pens. Within a jail and prison setting, of course, the people working typically use ink pens because that's what's required on paperwork. You generally will not see them give someone an ink pen, you will generally not see them give an inmate an ink pen because that could very easily be turned into a weapon. When it comes to people who are suicidal, they are often not allowed to even possess a pencil. Because again, a pencil is a instrument that can become deadly. There are some facilities that have processes in place that have accountability over the number of pencils that are within a particular area of that facility. And the deputies or the officers or whatever the terminology for them is, they will have to count those pencils to make sure that they're all accounted for. Because I don't want a bunch of unknown pencils floating around, and anytime a pencil needs to be replaced, there's a process for that. That way they always know when a pencil is out. When a person is suicidal, like I said, they're generally not given a pencil, and it is in probably most places' policies not to give that person a pencil or an ink pen because they could very easily take it and start killing themselves with it. In those cases, you often see those people being given a crayon or a large marker, like a large Crayola marker, to be able to write with, because you can't very easily take a crayon and stab yourself with it. You take the big fat Crayola markers. The end of it is, I don't know if it's a foam type, whatever that material is at the end. It's all soft, and the plastic is wide, and it doesn't have a thick, or I'm sorry, it doesn't have a thin point to it that you could very easily penetrate skin with it. Those are typically given to people who are on special precautions. There are specialty ink pens and pencils that are made for correctional settings to be able to give to these type of people so that they cannot use them as a weapon. There are flimsy ink pens. It's basically just the ink tube. So, for example, you can see within this ink pen, you've got the body. It's just a plastic casing that the ink tube goes into. And for the prison-style ink pens, it's basically just that tube. And you can't get a good grip on it. You can't get an ice pick grip with it like you can this fully cased ink pen. So even if you do get an ice pick grip on it and you go to do a stabbing motion, it's going to bend very easily within your hand. It's not as rigid as a case. There are pencils that are actually flexible, and they're a lot thinner than a number 2 pencil. They're very thin and they're flexible, and it's hard to be able to stab someone with them. You might be able to break skin while doing this, but as far as getting the entire length of this shaft going into someone, it's less likely to happen. But these ink pens and those number 2 pencils, they will penetrate you. This could very easily go through your eye. Someone could stab you right through your eye, and number 1, that could incapacitate you from the extreme amount of pain. It could be so much pain that it would knock you out. So you could become incapacitated through that matter or manner. Just the extreme pain of being stabbed in the eye could basically incapacitate you at that point. It's a pain compliance type of incapacitation. Even if you recover from it later on, you're most likely going to be blind forever in that eye. So that is a disfiguring, life-altering type of injury. That is a serious physical injury. Same with an ink pen, or I'm sorry, a pencil. And you could theoretically even shove that pen deep enough in through the ocular cavity to get that pen to go through the brain and hit the medulla or the pons and kill you. Very easily kill someone in that manner. Stab them to the neck, you can get stabbed in the carotid artery, the jugular, you start profusely bleeding everywhere. You could pierce into the person's thoracic cavity. Now, obviously, you hit bone; it's not going to very easily go through, but you can go in between the ribs, right? So you can still take a pin and pierce it into someone's chest and injure them that way. And if pins if they weren't dangerous, then you would not see these places take such precautions on these things. You would not see the invention of a specialty correctional pen to be able to give to inmates so they can't fucking stab people with them. So an ink pen is a very deadly physical threat. So again, this officer did not know that it was an ink pen. He thought it was some type of metallic object or a screwdriver. But even if he did know 100% this is an ink pen, he still 100% would have been justified in using deadly physical force. And if you want to argue that, then I invite you to take an ink pen to your eye. If you don't think an ink pen's dangerous enough, then you must not have any problem with me doing a fucking Joker disappearing act. You know, do you want to see a magic trick? Yeah. Like, if you think pencils and pens are not a threat, then let's let's do a fucking disappearing trick with an ink pen and see how far I can get in your eye. I guarantee you, you will not be up to taking that challenge. And if I tried to force you into that challenge, you would fucking fight me. But you know that there's people out there who are going to bitch and complain. Oh, it's just an ink pen. It's just an ink pen. Are you just scared of an ink pen? All right, you simple bitch. Take one in the eye. Let's see it. So, when he's the marshal. So when I first heard this, I didn't know what marshals are. And at first I thought maybe it was like a security company or something like that. I didn't think that it was the federal U.S. Marshals, but then I thought, well, maybe that's a possibility. So I had to research it, and apparently in Las Vegas they have what's called deputy marshals, and these people are primarily responsible for parks and facilities for the Las Vegas metropolitan government, and they're sworn law enforcement. So they do have police powers. Now the question for me that I don't know the full exact answer on, I didn't go that deep into the research of it. I don't know if their powers are contained to just parks and facilities, and they can't do stuff on public roads or sidewalks and stuff like that, or if they can do all that. So if they are limited in their jurisdiction where they have their police powers, I could understand why this marshal guy wouldn't have stopped and got out and dealt with this. Could he have still done something a little bit more than just driving by and laying down on the air horn? Yeah, certainly. If the vehicle is equipped with emergency lights, they could have stopped in the road, turned all the lights on, hit the siren. If you got an air horn, chances are you got a siren attached to it. Do all that, and that could make them scatter. Because obviously when this uniformed officer got out of this unmarked car, they both knew, it's up. There's a police. So, yeah, that deputy marshal definitely, could have done a little bit more in that instance, even if they didn't have jurisdiction to actually stop and get out and physically do something with these guys on a public roadway. If the deputy marshal has the jurisdiction to be able to do stuff, then he's completely in the wrong for passing all this up. With the exception of if he was going to another hot call. If he's responding to an assault call or something that's higher priority that would justify him just blowing by this. If not, if he was not going to a call of higher priority or anything like that, then he's wrong for not doing anything other than just blowing his air horn at him. This building over here where you see security at, so this is the recuperative care that they were talking about. And I had to look that up to see what was going on. Even though he explains what's going on, it's housing homeless people. Excuse me. Ugh, got the yawns. It by the description on their government website, it looked like it's supposed to be a 38-bed type of facility, and it's housing the homeless. So the homeless population, or transit population, whatever term you want to, or label you want to assign to them, I think that for the most part, the majority of people don't know shit about homeless people other than the fact that they're homeless. The majority of people only deal with these people when they're driving about in the community and they see them on a sidewalk, whether they're holding a sign, they're panhandling, or they're sleeping. That's the only time they see and interact with them. Sometimes people will actually physically interact with them by giving them money. If the homeless person comes to them and is panhandling, sometimes some people will go out of their way to go find a homeless person and give stuff to them, give them blankets and food, stuff like that. But even then, the interaction is very short-lived, and it's typically a nice interaction, right? Like, now I'm not saying this is, not ever happened, but What are the odds of you going up to someone with a McDonald's bag and saying, hey, I got you some food, and that person just becoming a complete shithead to you? Right? So all these interactions are pretty much pleasant, right? Like, they're nice, all right? If someone comes and gives you stuff, how are you going to react? You're going to be nice? You're going to be like, get the fuck away from me. No, like, people are going to be cordial during these interactions. So then, these brief positive interactions that people have doesn't really paint a realistic picture for them, because they think, oh, these are just nice people. They fell on hard times. There's nothing wrong. If you work in public safety and you've had to deal with these people on more than just brief interactions, you have recurring interactions with them, and you're not bringing shit to them to give to them. You're telling them they're at the move, go somewhere else, serve warrants, whatever. Then you get to see the real side of a lot of these people. Now, am I saying every single person is like this? No, I'm not. There are some homeless and transit people who are very docile. They're very they're just very calm. They're not, they're not assholes. But a lot of them can be. And when you think about homelessness, it is survival. Just like you would, look at these shows, surviving in the wild, blah, blah, blah. That's what homelessness is. It is surviving. Now, granted, they are in an urban environment and they're surrounded by a lot of resources. It's still, to some degree, survival. And so because it's survival, some of your more primordial instincts can be seen. Some of your more basic animalistic traits can be seen. Those traits are in all of us. It's in lower class, middle class, even the rich people. But because of our environments, our society, we don't always get to see those very basic animalistic kind of traits come out. They're there. You just have to pay attention and know what you're looking for. For example, a man and a woman walking in a downtown area at night, and they're going through the downtown square area, and they're looking at through windows, window shopping, whatever, returning from dinner or going to dinner, whatever reason they're out for a little leisurely stroll, and they come across a group of men, young men. If you watch, you will see that man take some type of action to show to the other men that the woman is his, that's his possession. And that's mostly in the form of either reaching down and grabbing the woman's hand, or reaching around the woman and putting his arm around her shoulder, around her waist. And people do this without even thinking about it. It's a subconscious thing. And that's where you see these animalistic traits are coming from. It's not like people are actively thinking, like animals. It's just these subconscious midbrain things that are coming out. But you'll see that depending on how well a person's dinner table etiquette is, you may also see people when they're eating and someone approaches a table, you will see that arm typically go up on the table and create a barrier between the food and the other person. Other little things that you will see are just some of the little basic animal stuff that comes out. And rich people do this too without even thinking about it. They'll still do those little things or whatever. But you see them more when it comes to situations where those things are having to come out because of the environment. Lower class and homeless people are basically in survival mode. And that's where you see some more of the aggressiveness come out at. So there's no honor among thieves, and just because homeless people are homeless, it's not like an allegiance there. It's not like, hey, homeless brother, we brothers, we're not going to steal from each other. No, that shit don't exist. They will fucking steal everything from each other if they can, or steal from other people. And that's probably a good possibility what has gone on here. One has stolen something from the other, or it's more the basic animal stuff coming out because they are having to live a basic, survival hunter-gatherer type of lifestyle. And it could just be the basic alpha male territorial bullshit going on. And you will see this come out in men of all social classes, especially when alcohol comes into play. Bars and nightclubs. That is an environment where you start to see the male territorial shit come out. Dudes fighting. Like, why the fuck are dudes fighting? Usually over a woman. It's always usually over a damn woman. And even if a specific woman is not physically there, then it's about women. Right? Like, why do two bucks out in the field square up? Because they're wanting to impress a woman. They're wanting to mate. And that right there is the baseline for why we do everything that we do. The purpose of life is to procreate. And everything you do is geared towards that. The cologne and perfume you wear, the shoes and clothes you wear, how you do your hair, every single fucking thing you do is for sex. And when it comes to the fighting shit, having the territorial stuff, that comes into play. Now, is this over women? No, most likely not. It's probably more over resources. Someone's probably stolen something, or they've got some beef from on the inside, and now they're going to be taking it out here. Again, more being the dominant thing. So whatever the exact root cause of it is, it's still just basic animal behavior. And again, I'm not saying that just because they're homeless, they're animals. All social classes go through this, because all humans are animals. But like I said, you will see this a little bit more when it comes to harder times for people, when they're having to actually get into that hunter-gatherer type of lifestyle. When resources are not easily available to you, food's not easily available to you, etc., people will act differently. Even your most civilized person, your richest person, someone that you would imagine has the most utmost level of civilness, will start to react and act the same when put in a position of homelessness. Unless you knew that person came from riches, then you would have no idea, because they would just start acting the same.
This is Lieutenant Rodriguez in the black Impala. Impala.
Well,
Rodriguez in the black Impala.
all right, so he is in this black Impala. It's unmarked, but these dudes knew, as it was coming down the road, they knew it was the police. They automatically knew. Probably what's going on is there's other people watching, and although you can't hear what's going on, someone's probably yelling, 50, 50, or whatever word they got for police. Or he could have been laying on the siren and air horn. We just can't hear it. One of those is going on. It doesn't appear as though he's got lights turned on.
Yes, in the black
Flash,
Impala.
go back to it. Maybe right above the visor is lights being turned on. You just can't see it very well from this angle.
Impala.
But I don't think he has lights on.
Lieutenant Rodriguez in the black Impala.
So he stops and he gets out and he leaves his door open for this entire interaction. A lot of cop cars end up getting stolen during incidents. More than what you would think. And although I don't know what the interior makeup of this vehicle is, he could have a rifle in there. I have no idea. But the theft possibility of the vehicle theft possibility and the possibility of someone accessing stuff or getting closer to things within the vehicle that they don't need to be touching or messing with means that the vehicles need to be secured once you get out of them. Doors should not be left open at all. Doors should be closed and locked if you're getting out of the vehicle. Even if you know you're just stepping out to get something real quick and get right back to the vehicle, it's going to take 5-10 seconds. That door still needs to be that door still needs to be closed and locked. Never know. Even though this thing could be taking 5 to 8 seconds, never know if something's going to pop off. If the vehicle needs to be running, then that is the reason why the doors need to be locked. If you have to leave your car running, you need to make it harder for someone to get into that car and take off. Now, the first option to be able to prevent people from taking off in the vehicle is installing a device that you can turn on once you stop that makes the vehicle shut off if anyone attempts to put the vehicle into reverse or drive. Basically taking the gear selector out of park. And those are used if you have to keep that vehicle running to keep AC or heat turned on, supply power to the lights and MDT, all that good stuff. Even if you have that device installed, you should still be locking the door, closing and locking the door to prevent people from gaining access to things inside that vehicle they don't need to be fucking with, or make it harder for them to gain easy access to that. If you don't have one of those devices, installed, and you're still wanting to have the vehicle running, then you need to be closing and locking that door to be able to keep, lights turned on and all that stuff. If you don't have to have the vehicle running, then that's because your vehicle has been set up in a way that you can turn the ignition off and power still goes to your lights and radio and laptop and everything. Not all vehicles are wired up like that. A lot of vehicles are wired up that when you turn that ignition switch to the off position, boom, it cuts power to everything. And most places will do that because a lot of people are forgetful and they leave shit turned on, and then when they get back to their car after it's been sitting for a while, it's dead, and now someone has to come jump it. But if you have a vehicle, and you typically see this with keys, if you have a keyed vehicle and you turn the ignition off, take the keys with you, and that makes it impossible to steal the car very easily. But at least then, if your vehicle is wired up that way, you still keep emergency lights and stuff like that on. But the key is to even if the key taken with you, even if you do leave the vehicle and there's obviously no way for them to start it, you should still be locking that door and closing it, because again, you still don't want them to get easy access to stuff inside the vehicle. So the key to all this is to close and lock your fucking doors. So now they know uh-oh, police are here. We're going to pretend like nothing was going on. This is typical behavior. It is. It's very typical behavior when people are caught doing something they're not supposed to be doing. They will pretend like, oh, no, we were just not standing out in the middle of the road about to engage in fisticuffs. Nope, not at all. Oh, no, we're just walking down the sidewalk. Obviously, the officer's not buying into that bullshit. All right. So, in this instance, he comes at this officer, and the officer pulls his baton out. And I believe what he said in the briefing interview that, he pulls his baton out as that guy comes at him, and then he notices something in his hand. So, why is this guy going to a baton and not a taser? I would say that most likely the reason why he does not have a full duty belt is because he is of rank, and he probably serves in some type of administrative role within the agency. That and the fact he has an unmarked vehicle. That is actually a common thing when people start to climb the rank ladder and they no longer work the road on a regular basis. They start taking shit off their belt out of comfort, basically. I think that's stupid. Even if you're not working the road on a regular basis, if you're going to be in a police uniform, you should have the same duty belt set up as a regular patrol person. If you are going to have now I don't know if Las Vegas has take-home vehicles or not, but there's a lot of places here in the U.S. where officers have take-home vehicles, and even within those agencies, the chiefs, the assistant chiefs, or deputy chiefs, and they're colonels, majors, captains, whatever, people who typically just stay in the station all day, they still get take-home cars. But those people, they don't always wear the full duty belt. Sometimes you may see someone of that rank have just a gun on their side, and they may not even be wearing the standard police patrol type of uniform. They may be wearing some pants and a polo shirt with an embroidered badge on it, and then they'll have their gun and a badge on their belt. So if they're dressed like that, that's a typical way for some admin to dress, especially for a lot of detectives to dress. If they're wearing the standard uniform, the uniform pants and shirt with the badge and name tag and the whistle, all the bullshit on the shirt, then even then you may see a belt that doesn't have everything on it like all the other regular officers do. It may have just a gun, magazine pouch, radio, maybe OC, but there's a bunch of other stuff gone. Like they typically won't have a big backup light on the belt, a D-ring on the belt. Sometimes they won't even carry a taser, a glove pouch. Sometimes they won't even carry a baton. It varies. But that is typical for people of admin status. They just won't carry everything on the belt. And they do that basically out of comfort. Because it's not comfortable wearing a freaking duty belt and then sitting in an office chair. It's not comfortable. So they take a lot of that stuff off. I think that's wrong. And I think that's fucking stupid. If you're going to have a uniform like this on, then that means you're driving out in public in an unmarked vehicle and it has lights and siren, whatever, you're still subject to go to a call. I mean, dispatch might not be assigning them to go to shit, but at any moment you could be backing someone up, you could be responding to some type of officer needs assistance call, may happen to see something going on like this, like it seems like he just happened across this and saw it and had to get out and do something, whatever. So since you're what I would call basically subject to call, Well, you need to be equipped just the same as the patrol guys are. Just because you're an administrative person doesn't mean you should be able to start de-policing your belt because it's more comfortable when you sit in your fucking office all day. You need to be prepared just the same as the street guys are. And if you have a take-home car, then guess what? You're a patrol officer. Just because you hold rank doesn't mean that your patrol officer duties go away. You're always the police. You're always a basic patrolman in that sense. And you need to be prepared just the same as the guys who work patrol day in, day out. So, with that being said, if he had a taser, could this have, in the very beginning, turned out different? Could he have deployed taser on this guy? Certainly. Yeah. Would it have made a difference? I don't know. There is a failure rate with tasers. They're not always effective. But he could have fired and got NMI on this guy and brought about a different type of resolution here. He could have completely de-escalated this situation by firing taser in this guy and dropping him with NMI, or just the pain from the taser could have switched this dude's motivation and he no longer be wanting to fight. Like, oh shit, that hurt. I don't want to fuck with this guy. But that doesn't happen because they don't have a taser. Now, I don't know if the reason of him not having a taser is because he's an admin person and he's just taking stuff off his belt, or if tasers are only issued to patrol people because they have such a large agency. That's all they can afford is to have enough taser units for patrol. Detectives and chiefs and stuff like that and other admin don't carry them because they're typically not using them on a regular basis. Even then, I think that's still a goofy mindset because it goes back to my original rant where I talked about if you're going to be in a uniform and leaving the station, you need to have a full belt just like everyone else. But for budgetary constraints, that happens in some places. They only order enough tasers for all the people working patrol. Everyone else that stays in the station doesn't get one because they just can't afford to equip everyone with a taser. So it's either that, he wasn't issued one at all, or B, because he's admin and he chose not to carry all the extra stuff on his belt. I don't know which one it is. Since he doesn't have a taser, he goes to his baton. Alright, I can get down with some stick time. It's been years since I've hit anybody with a baton. I still carry it, but yeah, a baton can work. It certainly can. It could really motivate somebody to dissuade them from wanting to get physical again. The last person I hit got a good leg strike on them, and they became completely uninterested in fighting anymore. They didn't want to have shit to fucking do. They were no longer aggressive. Why? Because it fucking hurts. And it kind of impacted their ability to move around. They were limping some after that. He draws the baton, but he doesn't do anything with it other than hold it up. And then he, quote unquote, dances around. So we'll back that up. So he whips it out there. Alright. So that had a bit of an effect on this guy. It paused him long enough. But then that guy decides, he's like, oh shit, alright. So that's when he grabs, it looks like right there, is when he pauses and grabs this thing. This officer had windows of opportunity right in here. This guy knew he did not have the ability to go up against this baton. This officer, in these windows of opportunity, could have closed the gap on this guy and started delivering strikes with the baton, trying to gain compliance out of him. Decisiveness, aggressiveness, speed, violence, ruthlessness. Those are some of the things that they're ingredients. And you add enough of these ingredients and you get success. This officer decided to go to Baton. But that's it. That's all he did is he just whipped it out and he showed it. That's a posturing kind of move. You know, you go to someone's house and they got a little dog and they're just barking. That's posturing. Two dudes, you know, peacocking. Fuck you, bruh. Nah, fuck you. Fuck your mama. And they start raising fists. They're posturing. That's all this guy's doing right now. He's posturing. When instead, he needs to be on the offensive here. This dude has lunged at him, trying to attack him, knowing he's a police officer. There is no fucking mistaking that he is either a security officer or B, a police officer. He ain't no fucking truck driver. He ain't no milkman. He ain't no waste collection person. He ain't going around checking garbage cans and putting them in the back of a garbage truck. He's not a meter maid, right? He's not a utility line worker. There's only two things this guy could be: security officer or police officer. And yet this guy still comes at him. And we know that he knows he's something because he stopped what he was doing in the road and started walking this way. But yet he started to attack the officer. In that moment, the officer should have rocked his fucking world. You don't fucking attack the police. That's a hard no. That is a line in the sand that once it's crossed, it's game on. It's green light. Dude is in line for a legal ass whooping. But the officer was not decisive in his decision to do this. He did not start delivering strikes. He was not aggressive in what he was doing. And of course, since he never went forward, we never got to, see the speed and the violence and whatnot. But if he had closed that gap and been decisive in his commitment to start giving strikes on this guy, if he would have closed that gap and started delivering strikes and verbal commands and did it with speed and violence and aggression, I think it would have had a better outcome in this. Could the guy have still continued to fight? Yeah. But we could see right in here, this guy, for a moment, was afraid. There was a moment where this officer could have moved in and dominated him and become the more dominant of the two and exert his dominance. Him come out as the alpha male. But we didn't see that happen. So instead, this guy feeds off of that. He sees this officer is not about it. He probably sees this officer as being scared, and he probably sees his ability or likelihood of attacking this officer and winning. When it comes to this, someone wanting to swing, like I said, it is fucking game on at that point. There is no taking 2 steps back and trying to de-escalate. No. You de-escalate by taking 2 steps forward and fucking their shit up. Fuck their shit up. They wanted it, they can fucking get it. He knew damn well what he was getting himself into. He knew damn well that guy was a police officer. And yet he still attacked him. Game on. And this kind of stuff right here where officers do not go hard. They don't become decisive in their movements and their actions, and they don't close the distance with speed and violence and aggression and ruthlessness. That's the shit that ends up getting officers hurt. That's the shit that ends up getting officers fucking killed. The old 1990s video of what was his name? Hinkdeller? I can't remember his name. He was a deputy in Georgia, and this is the dash cam video footage where he pulls the guy over in a pickup truck, and the dude jumps out of the truck, and he's a Vietnam vet, and he just kind of does like a little Chinese fire drill, and he just kind of dances right out there in the middle of the street, and then he goes to the cab of his vehicle, and he starts to get a rifle out. That's the video I'm talking about. And he ends up getting the rifle out and shooting at the deputy, and he kills him. And then he comes up to the deputy as he's laying on the ground and does the final fuck you shot. In that video, if you watch it, that deputy, he gets his baton out, but he doesn't really do much with it. He kind of gives some light strikes, but he's not very decisive and aggressive and ruthless and violent in his actions. It's kind of a lazy, lackadaisical kind of engagement here. And that, in my belief, and in some other people's beliefs, is what ended up getting him killed. If he had just closed the distance and just started fucking striking the shit out of that guy and doing it with meaning, doing it with purpose, with the intent of dropping him to his fucking knees, I think there's a lot less likely chance of that dude ever having gone back to his truck and getting that rifle out. And even if he did, then once that deputy went to his gun, he should have started using force. The minute, he starts in there and he can see him with the gun before he ever gets the damn gun out of the fucking truck. At that moment, it's game on. You know where this is going. So that's what I mean by lack of decisiveness and lack of aggression. That stuff leads up into a lot of officers getting hurt and killed. So when I say, when the fight's on, damn it, it's on. If they want to fight you, then fuck their shit up. Yeah, you're defending yourself, right? But go on the offensive. It's not so much as, you blocking strikes and defending yourself. No, you block and you strike. Decentralize them. Take them down. Hit them so goddamn fucking hard. Either A, you knock their fucking ass out, or B, you make them have a change of mind. And that change of mind needs to be something in their head saying, I done fucked up. I fucked with the wrong dude. So we can see that he has the baton now tucked in his arm area. So he's holding the baton against his body with his right hand, and his left hand is using his portable radio. This is why I say portable radios need to have shoulder mics, lapel mics, remote mics, whatever designation you want to call the little cord thing that attaches to the radio and goes up to the little thing you talk into. Those are paramount. Those are crucial pieces of equipment when it comes to public safety. It is a life-saving piece of equipment. So now he's got his left hand tied up, holding a radio, and now he has his right arm somewhat sort of immobilized because he's using his arm to pin that baton between his arm and his body to be able to retain it. That's not a good effective fighting form right there. That radio needs to have a lapel mic on it. That way he can reach up, talk onto it, and let go. Otherwise, that hand is full, and if that hand now needs to all of suddenly come empty, what's his choices? Take the time to try and set it back in his pouch, or turn it upside, invert it, and put the little swivel lock into its slot and let it rotate down, or immediately drop it out of his hand. Well, if you try to mess with putting it back in his pouch, you're wasting time, not going to be as effective. But you still retain your radio and can talk later. If you drop it immediately, you become more effective at going to whatever option you want to in a more timely way and having a higher chance of succeeding. But the negative is you've just now lost your radio and it's going anywhere. He does end up losing this radio once he goes to the ground, and you see that radio sliding across the sidewalk over there. What if these other people who've been watching this all along decide, oh, well, I'm going to take that radio, and someone snatches it and takes off, wanting to see this officer fail? Now he's not going to be able to talk to anybody unless he gets his cell phone out. And that's not a very great, effective means of communication, especially for relaying critical information need to know right fucking now. The security guys, I don't think that they're armed. You see him reaching for his belt, and it looks like he's going to pull out some pepper spray, because you'll see his hand kind of do a shaking motion. See that? He's doing the shaking motion. That's a typical behavior with people who've got pepper spray. They got that can. They'll do a little shaking motion, get the contents shaken up. You don't have to do that. It's not a requirement, but it's just a habit for a lot of people. I actually still do it, even knowing I don't have to do that. There's not necessary whatsoever, but I do it more of a posturing kind of thing, more of a visual thing. You pull that can out and you do that shaking motion. People know what's up. They know, oh shit, that hurts. They know, oh, that's pepper spray. And that can cause a change in someone, just like pointing a taser at someone. You don't have to shoot them with the taser to get compliance out of them. You just point the laser dot on them. Call it red dot compliance. As soon as you point that laser at them, they all of a sudden stop doing the stupid shit they were doing, because they know, either from direct experience, that shit hurts, or B, they've seen videos of it and they know it probably hurts, and they stop doing what they're doing. Not everyone, but a lot of people. So that could be why he's shaking it, just, hey, this is what I got. Or he could be under the belief that you have to shake the can, which you don't have to. It's already mixed. So running backwards is not the best thing to do. It's not very effective. That's why you don't see track runners running backwards. You see them running forward. So running backwards usually ends up like this. You end up falling and losing your footing and rolling on the ground. The better option, he saw the threat, he knows it's a threat, is just start shooting. Which he does shoot as he's going backwards and falling down. But is this guy starting the charge? I mean, it should, that, again, line in the sand. Like, where is this dude's line in the sand at? Apparently, it's too fucking close to him. He needs to extend that line out a little bit more. And if he had, then he would have started blasting this dumb fuck as he started coming at him with that weapon. But he just let him get too close. He backpedaled too far, and pretty much as he's going down and is down is when he fires. Now, it does have its desired effect, because this dude gets popped, and he immediately disengages from this guy and goes about this way. Now, how far, he ends up making it before going down, I don't know. You hear him on the radio saying he's been shot, but, it hasn't caused him to go down or anything like that. But that was enough pain for him to say, yeah, I don't want to do this no more. That shit hurt. So at this point, he is mentally incapacitated from the pain. Is he physically incapacitated? No. If he was physically incapacitated, he'd be laying on his back or his stomach and not moving anymore. Since he's able to move, he is still physically capable of fighting. But in this instance right here, that pain, he's not mentally in that fight anymore. Pain is a hell of a motivator. Pain really changes people's mood. Pain makes people want to stop trying to fuck with you. That's why, people say, if there's a bully trying to bully you, punch them. That's pretty solid advice. If someone is being a bully to you, the best thing to do to make them stop being a bully is punch them straight in the fucking nose. So the security, all they have, or all they seem to have, is pepper spray at this point. And that's pretty common for a lot of places. A lot of your larger security companies will provide either armed security or unarmed security. And they do this as a way to still be able to make money from people. Obviously, the armed security is at one rate of pay, and the unarmed is at another rate of pay, and it's usually lower than armed security. And so they'll offer unarmed security for these clients as a way to still be able to gain their business, because they know the client is going to go with a cheaper option. Oh, here's an armed guard for $30 an hour. Here's an unarmed guard for $20 an hour. What do you think most of these clients are going to go with? They're going to go with the cheapest option they can. They're going to go with that unarmed guard. I personally think that's a stupid mindset. If you're going to be in a uniform and expected to deal with people, deal with general public, and tell them they can't do things and protect property and protect life, then they should be able to protect their own life when the people they're saying no to become batshit crazy and try to start attacking them. So this homeless dude most likely been in this place over here. What if on the inside they told him that he couldn't be doing something, or he had to leave for the day, whatever, and this guy wanted to attack him? The only thing they're going to have is fucking pepper spray. Is that going to be 100% effective in incapacitating him? Nope. So he could very well have taken that ink pen and stabbed one of these security guards in the fucking eye or in the neck, wherever, and either seriously physically injured them or killed them, and there's nothing that they would have been able to do to really adequately protect themselves. So that's why I say unarmed security is bullshit. The only unarmed security that should ever exist, in my opinion, is like cyber security, like some computer nerd working in an office somewhere performing IT security work. Are they a security guard? No. But they're performing security functions, just at a different style. No reason for them to be armed unless they're having to leave out of their office and go deal with people in the building, which isn't likely. So those kind of instances are the only time anyone working in the security field should be unarmed. If you're out in public, you're dealing with general public people, you should be armed. You should be able to defend yourself against deadly physical threats. And I can't remember if I had mentioned this earlier. This is my second take on this video. And I know I mentioned it on the first one, but I had mentioned as a possibility of him, having to deal with him inside, telling him he can't be out here. Let me back it up a little bit more. So all these people you see, right? All kinds of people on the sidewalk. A lot of these homeless centers, these homeless places, they have rules. And those rules may include, well, you can't be inside the building during daytime hours. You can't be in the building between 8 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon. Between 8 and 4, your ass needs to be out in the public trying to find employment so that you don't continue to be living in this homeless place. So they'll let them stay there overnight, sleep, do hygiene, whatever. Come morning time, some point in the morning, their asses are supposed to be outside. And they may have the rule that you can't come in unless it's 4 o'clock. You can't even come in to use the bathroom. Can't do shit, right? And I would say that's probably why they have these security guards at this front gate area. Back it up more so you can see the gate. Yeah, this little gate area to stop these people from just going in and hanging out inside and freeloading. So those are pretty typical things for a lot of homeless places, especially for like American Red Cross, or Salvation Army. I'm sorry, Salvation Army kind of places. Salvation Army shelter. That will be typical to tell them you can't be inside the building hanging out. You can't be on the property during these hours. You got to be out looking for a job. So what do these people do? They hang out on the fucking sidewalks near these damn places. And I can tell you that's exactly what these people are doing. They are supposed to be out looking for jobs, but they're not. They're just hanging out. And the other two dudes that are fighting, obviously not out looking for a job or anything like that. They're hanging out. The Salvation Army centers, they don't just cater to only homeless people, but they will also act as a halfway house. And a lot of people don't know this, but people, when they get out of prison, they're paroled or whatever, and they have to go into a halfway house, some of them will go to a Salvation Army type of center or other homeless place that will act as this, and that will be their halfway home. So some homeless people do have legit criminal backgrounds. Like they're just, straight out of prison, and they came to this place because it's a halfway house. And a lot of them, they do have, other crimes in their life. Some of it may be necessity of life type of shoplifting crimes, like they stole food to be able to, survive on. Some of them have some substance abuse problems, so they may have, possession charges and stuff like that. But some of them have violent charges where they've attacked people and stuff like that. And not every homeless person is like this, but there a lot of them do have, they got problems. They got criminal backgrounds, and they're not always the nicest people. So that's, I know I kind of got off track there for a little bit, but yeah. I think that's really all I needed to talk about. Yeah. Yep, that's it. So if you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching.